Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Grace and I'm so thankful that you're here. If you've watched some of my most recent videos, you know that I've been kind of talking about my whole family being in kind of like a budget girl era. And that's because my husband is starting a new career. I am a new stay-at-home mom. We moved across the country, lots and lots of things. We're trying to save for a house. And so I thought it would be helpful for not only me, but you also to bring in a financial expert. So my special guest today, she has had her own budget that she created and has been successfully utilizing for like 37 years, something like that. And she used to be a teacher and a tax professional, so she really knows money. So this person also happens to be my mom. This is my mom, Mary. And so, Mom, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about, why is budgeting a passion of yours? How'd you get started? That kind of a thing. And then we're going to jump into, she has 8 tips for us on how kind of budgeting principles, but also how to kind of get your budget started. So if you are starting from ground zero, kind of like me and my hubby, this hopefully will be helpful for you.
Thank you. I am very happy to be here. I don't feel like I'm good on camera, so this is an experiment. Yes, I have been budgeting and basically been on the same budget, my husband and I, for about 37 years. And how we got started was that we found ourselves in the position really that you're in, Grace, and that maybe many of you are in. We were young. We spent the decade of our 20s doing some other things, and one of them was putting my husband back through a second degree so that he could change careers. And so at the age of 30, we found ourselves with our first child having been born, and my husband was graduated and starting his new career. We moved to a different town. He got a good job, but we had nothing. We were those people that I hear about on the internet, that they, pay their rent, they pay their utilities, they buy their food, and they're out of money. And we were literally those people. We felt like we were frugal people, but we just had no plan, and we didn't know where to go. We didn't have direction. We didn't have focus. And so it was at that time that I thought, and I also became pregnant with my second child, and I thought, I need to get this under control, so let's start with my groceries. So I asked a friend, do you know how much you spend on groceries every week? And she said to me, we are on a total budget. We know what we spend on everything. And so it was a jaw-dropping moment, and I said, could you tell me how you do that? I don't even know what you're talking about. And so she did. She gave me a little article about it and kind of told me just a little bit, and I got to work. And I was expecting our second child, and I was doing substitute teaching at the time to just bring in a little extra. But it turned out that I had a high-risk pregnancy, and I had to stop doing that extra work. And I guess one reason I'm passionate is within 1 month of budgeting, we were in a better place financially than we were with my part-time income. So I have always said that my budget is equal to a part-time job, for sure, just doing the budgeting. So that is what got me started. And we've basically been on the same budget that has been tweaked over the years for 37 years, because that child that I was pregnant with is now 36 years old.
Thank you so much. That is a great overview. So we're going to go ahead and jump in with your first tip. You said your first couple ones are more like principle based.
Yes.
And then we'll move into more practical based.
Okay, as I put these 8 principles together, I thought at the beginning, the first several that I do are more of convincing you that budgeting is a great thing to do. And I was thinking about it, it's kind of like losing weight. You can have the diet and the rules, but if your head isn't in the right space, then it's not going to work. And so I think it's kind of similar with budgeting. So that is why I'm talking a little bit more about motivation at the beginning and probably the end too. Okay, so first of all, I said to set your priorities, to think over your priorities. Now, all of you, everybody, everywhere has the same first 4 priorities. These are universal: housing, food, utilities, and transportation. So if you're a person that your budget is not making it right now and you are just bare bones, then you will take these first 4 priorities and you will just try to make that work. You don't have to have any other ones at that point. You need to take care of your housing, your food, your utilities, and your transportation. But then you can start to think about your other priorities. What is important to you? If you're a single person, then just think about yourself. But if you're a married person, then you are a unique person who married a unique person, and together you're going to form a unique family. And so you can talk about that. Are you the type that you want a big house? Is the house the important thing, or is travel the important thing? I'll give you just an example. My husband and I, when we finally got around to buying a house, we love to have small group Bible studies. And so we wanted a house that would allow room for that. And so, we were able to make that a priority and put that together. That was an important thing. So everybody's going to have their own important things. Your lifestyle priorities, aside from those first 4 that I mentioned, they are going to change. They're going to change as you make your budget. When you start writing things down, something that you thought was a priority, you're going to realize it was not. So, and as you move through life, those priorities are going to change. But thinking them through will help you get started on your budget. Okay, so second principle is to stay out of debt. Now, we live in a society that is based on debt, and so some of you will be saying, oh, I'm not in debt at all, but others of you, your whole budget is based on debt. However, one of our goals with budgeting is to be good money managers. So just take an example. For all of us, throughout our whole lives, you are going to make a certain amount of money. Some of you are going to make a lot more money than other people make. But what we want to do is manage that money well. We want to make every dollar go as far as it can go. So supposing that you buy a car and it's a $30,000 car and you finance it over 4 or 5 years, and I'm just pulling this number out of the sky, but supposing that in the end that car cost you $37,000, was that a good use of money? You bought a $30,000 car for $37,000. And you might think, oh, well, yeah, but I enjoyed it. However, over a lifetime, buying all of your cars that way, and all of your clothes that way, and all of your toys that way, and all of the things that way, you've, a lot of money has gone to interest, which isn't what you are actually using. If you currently have debt, you could put the paying off the debt as a high priority. And that's why I said your priorities are going to change as you're working on this, because you might think traveling is a big priority, but you might decide, no, getting out of debt is the higher priority. Travel will have to wait. So stay out of debt. All right, principle number 3. If you're going to do what I'm talking about, having the priorities, being on a budget, getting out of debt, you are probably going to have to live counterculturally. So I think it's important for us to all understand that our culture right now especially is a culture of consumerism. And it's okay to know that. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but what you need to do is just be willing to say no to certain things. To look at the culture and to say, do I need that? Is that important to me? Can I do without that? There are people all over the country and the world now doing this very thing and living their own lifestyle, not just buying into what they see all around them on the internet and on TV. Just because it's there doesn't mean that it's good for you. And when you think of it, what is the fun in being like everyone else? So be willing to forge your own way and live against the culture. And you can reach these goals much faster that way. What's your priority? Is it to have everything you want, or is it to manage your money well? If you want to manage your money well, you're probably going to say no to a number of things in our culture.
Hi, Editing Grace here. We forgot to film one of the points, so she's going to do that right now.
Thank you. Okay, the one that we have to add in is to live beneath your means. The old adage, do not despise small beginnings, applies here. If you're just starting your budgeting, you might not have very much, but it will grow quickly. You will see results fairly quickly. To live below your means means that your income is going to determine your lifestyle. So you may wish that you were at a certain place and you're just not. That doesn't mean you won't be later. If you're 25, maybe you will be closer to where you'd like to be when you're 45, but for now, you will live under that income. And you will find that that will help you with setting priorities and with sticking to your budget. Next principle. As you're getting your budget all together and your lifestyle together, I would like to stress to be generous in giving, to not stop giving even while you're getting things under control. And I could probably tell you all kinds of stories of how giving has blessed us and many things have worked out for us. Generous giving is a biblical principle, and generous giving is just a life principle. Now, I do want to say that we don't give in order to get. Of course, it is better to give than to receive, but we don't give to receive. However, if we are living a lifestyle of giving, we are going to find ourselves receiving in a variety of ways. Some financial, some just in our relationships and in our peace of mind and our ability to sleep at night. So that is one thing that I do want to say. Don't give up giving and say, I'll do that later. Don't worry, I am getting to the nuts and bolts, but there's one more before I get to the nuts and bolts, is to have a long haul perspective. The basic principle that I want to say there is to live in today, but prepare for tomorrow. You don't want to live in tomorrow. Many people do that. They're always looking to the future. I'll be happier when this happens. No, be happy with today. Appreciate today, but always be preparing for tomorrow. That also is a biblical principle, to store up food for the winter. And now, in the stage of life that my husband and I find ourselves in, we're almost to the winter of life. We're almost going to be retired. Did we store up? And that is a good principle. So just to remember that. And I guess I'll throw this in here too. We hear of many people nowadays that are saying, how can they expect us to live on our Social Security? And a principle that I never knew till a few months ago was that when Social Security was put together by our government, the plan was for Social Security to provide 1/3 of your retirement needs. It was never meant to provide all of your retirement needs. Now, I know many people, we don't even know where Social Security is going to be by the time you younger folks all get to the winter of life, such as myself. But it's going to leave you with about 2/3 to provide for yourself, even if Social Security is doing okay at the time. So keep that in mind. Preparing for the future is something you need to build into your budget. Okay? Are you ready for me to talk about a budget?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So then you get to your budget, the nuts and bolts. Basically, a budget is giving every dollar a name. So essentially, you would start with those 4 priorities: housing, food, utilities, and transportation. You would list what you spend on those each month based on where you are right now. And then you would be listing on down other things that, your cell phone plan. You've already made a decision probably on that. So you're going to have to pay that bill, whatever kind of insurance, life insurance or whatever you have so far come up with. Now you're going to tweak these in the future, but where are you right now? What are the things that you have committed to? Mm-hmm. If you have credit card bills, you've got to put those in there. You've got to pay your payments on those. And then you can work your way on down. Well, clothing fund, household fund, saving for a house fund, saving for a new car fund, vacation fund, entertainment fund. You work your way down. You may find that I have nothing left. Well, that's okay because you're working this. This is a process. However, you're not done with your budget after you've listed all of these things. You need to come up with a way to maintain this budget, because each month is going to be a little bit different. Your paychecks may be different. But in other words, in my budget that I've lived on for 37 years now, every time a paycheck comes in, it is distributed into these different categories. So I'm already saving for next Christmas. Mm-hmm. I already have next Christmas in there. I'm saving for our next vehicle. I'm paying myself a car payment. And that comes out of every paycheck. Mm. I don't wait until, in other words, every paycheck goes toward the mortgage. So each month when the mortgage is due, that money is sitting there because I put a little out of each paycheck into that. And I have a maintenance. I do mine paper and pencil. Mm-hmm. I'm old school, but I enjoy it. Actually, people laugh at me because budgeting is my favorite household chore. I love to sit down with my cup of tea and my budget, and it's all laid out, and I put it all in the book, and then I balance it. So after we've gotten paid, I balance it out. All my bills are paid. And I just feel great about that. I know for younger people, I think probably having it online would be a great thing. And there are several methods out there of doing that. But I think that you need to have something that has a maintenance plan mm-hmm. to it. Not just a list of your expenses. That is not a budget. Mm-hmm. How you're going to maintain it is the budget. Mm. And we could talk further about that, but not today, apparently. So... So
that was very passive aggressive. I don't know what I did to you.
So anyways, and then once you have this budget, and maybe you'll find out that your budget isn't working for you. You ended up with no clothing allowance, and you do have to clothe yourself. You ended up with no vacation whatsoever, and you want to be able to have some entertainment here and there. So then you're going to try to get creative within each category. Maybe you found out your mortgage payment's too high or your rent is too high. What can you do? I don't know. You'll have to think it over. Could you sell your house and buy a smaller one? I don't know. It depends on how the market's going. Could you sell your house and do you have somebody you could move in with? Like, do you have parents that have a big house that you could live with them for a while? Could you take in a boarder, maybe? What could you do? I don't know. Do you love children? Could you watch some children in your home and put that money toward that mortgage payment? Everybody's different, so you're going to have different strengths. Maybe you need to get your food budget down. So are you somebody that's really good at couponing? I'm not, so I'm not going to go that direction. Are you good at having home cooking and that you're not going to eat out? You could do that. There's just a lot of different ways that you can do the same thing. Are you great at going to thrift stores? Can you do your clothing that way and look lovely from what you got at thrift stores. Save money that way. So each category, you're going to want to shrink the categories down in the most creative way that you can so that you can put that money towards something else that you need or you want. So that is that. And my very last thing, so your budget, which is a longer, probably the nuts and bolts is a longer conversation. But once you've come up with that and you know how to do it, I think you need to find some external motivation. And again, back to my dieting principle, you need somebody to help you want to continue. And so I think you can get a lot of that kind of motivation online, because you might find that your family and friends are not of the same perspective as you, wanting to get out of debt or wanting to be responsible with your money. But online, I love listening to Dave Ramsey's podcast. So I'm just going to throw that name out there. Whether or not you follow his plan specifically, his podcast is very motivating. People call in, talk about their financial problems. You hear like what they're doing to save money. You hear them do their debt-free screams. It is highly motivational. So listen to it. You can just get that on your phone. Listen to it a few times a week. It's fun. I follow just a few young women, like women in their early 40s, on Instagram that are doing similar things to what I like to do, living a more minimal lifestyle, thinking about ways to eat at home instead of spending your money eating out, whatever. I wouldn't follow 20 of them, but maybe find 2 or 3 that are doing the same kinds of things that you want to do, and follow them and get their tips. So that's really the end of my tips. And again, I just hope that maybe this has given you some motivation to ask more questions, to do some research, to see where this could take you in life and to become a better money manager.
Thank you, Mama. I have always felt like my mom has lots and lots of wisdom, so I'm actually going to have her back on the channel a number of times. So make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell notification if you'd be interested in watching those. If you guys do have any further questions, feel free to comment them down below, and I will get my mom to look over them and she can give her feedback as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. I learned a lot, and I even knew what you were going to say. And also, don't be discouraged, because I grew up with her and she's been trying to teach me these things for all these years, and it very, very slowly has been seeping in. So if you are starting from the bottom, or maybe you're already making really good money but you don't know how to manage it well, you can always start today. 2024 is the year of the budget. We can do this together. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.